Good morning, Twin Cities, and welcome to Reckoning with Real Estate, a show about the American dream and building a better real estate company. I am Paige Kao with the Real Estate Collaborative, and this is the second part of a two-part series. It's our first ever interview with one of our past clients, Ginger Eager. Hello, Ginger.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for coming back. And Mark Byers, my colleague, also with the Real Estate Collaborative, is here as well. Hello. And we're just going to dive into it. So the first episode, we talked about Ginger and her husband Grant's experience kind of being introduced to REC, how we do things a little bit differently. We talked about the housing justice piece of the work that we do. We talked about how freaking awesome Minnesota is. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we get there again on this episode. And we ended talking about our fee structure and kind of giving kind of concrete numbers about how much money we can save folks if they choose to work with us, and that Paige is fun.
Yes.
So fun. Paige is fun.
That's why I came back. Mark is fun too.
Oh,
it's a fun group. Yeah,
it is. I'd like to think our whole team is actually.
I agree.
Yeah, pretty fun. And we have a wig party every year, so I mean
that was super fun.
Yeah. What more? I mean, you can't get much funner than that.
It is a fundraiser, a wig party that is a fundraiser.
That is a fundraiser, right. So let's start, maybe this episode, let's talk about kind of the process that we went through to find your house. And I know your eyes are like, you as a writer, I mean, you got some good source material.
I did. Yeah. So well, did you have more questions?
No, you just launch right in.
The process, we didn't know anything about the Twin Cities, the neighborhoods, what the houses were like, what we could afford here and where that would place us. We knew nothing. So how many houses did we see with you?
So I don't do a lot of preparation for these episodes. If I think our listeners maybe know that already about me, but that is one piece of information that I did pull because it is kind of fun. So how many houses do you think we looked at? And it was over like 5 months, I think.
Yeah. I think we looked at 50 something with you, didn't we?
How do you know that?
Because you had told me. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. You told me before, but I couldn't remember the exact number.
So I pulled the number, and it was 58 showings. But plus, you all went to a lot of open houses on top of that.
Yeah, most weekends we would pick an area. And we would just go to as many open houses in that area as we could. And then we would also, go out to eat, go to the coffee shops, look for the bookstores, like just trying to get a feel for the neighborhood. Yeah, I've seen a lot of houses. So when we saw the house that we bought, we knew this was the most perfect house in existence.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky to be in it now.
I know. And I got there a little ahead of you, before you, and did a quick run through. And I knew, I'm like, this is it. They're going to buy this house. They just are. How can we make this happen? Because the market's still crazy and everybody's going to want this house. And do you remember the houses? So I think you wrote 4 or 5 offers. There were 4 or 5 other homes before this one that you ended up with that you wrote offers on. I remember I think I remember 2, 3. I might remember all of them. Do you remember them?
If I think about it, I remember a couple of them. One of the things about that experience that was great, you may have been going somewhere. Did I cut you off from a question you were heading toward? Okay. So we had a couple of real estate experiences in Atlanta. One of those involved this was in the early 2000s. One of those involved a bidding war, in front of the house on the street. With our agent at the time, running back to us, you have to put down more. You have to put down more, if you want to get this house. and we couldn't put down more. We didn't get the house. The woman who did get the house lived just up the street from me, from where we ultimately bought a house in that same neighborhood. And so we ended up, befriending one another, and she sort of apologized because she was older and had more resources and had come in and bought this thing to flip it. It was crazy. And during that same process of trying to buy a house with that same real estate agent, Grant had put a bid on a home without seeing the inside of it.
Grant.
Yeah, because the market was so crazy. And so, and the agent.
What year was this?
Yeah, it's a good question. So let's see. We moved back to Georgia in about 2004. So, I mean, it was maybe 2006, 2007. So it was right before. Yeah.
Right before the housing crisis
of
08, 09. Okay, carry on.
So he had put this bid on the house. We went back and looked at it. We realized it wasn't where we wanted to live at all. We lost our earnest money on this home. And we actually ended up telling that real estate agent, we're sorry, but we can't buy a house in this environment, and we're going to just continue renting the home that we're in, and felt terrible because this man had shown us a lot of homes and he had done a lot of work on our behalf, and we had not paid him any sort of retainer. And in a market where with other clients, he might have really made a lot of money. So none of that existed in working with REC. We did have a couple of, weird situations. It was a heightened market when we were buying here in Minnesota. And we did have a couple of sort of heightened situations that you kept from ever going to that place. We never felt pressured. And in fact, when it could have been a pressure point, you would always say, I wish I could remember your exact words, but something along the lines of, when it feels like this, we can walk away.
Yeah. I mean, that is one thing I think we try to be very cognizant of and I think about it often when I'm working with clients, is my motivation really has to match my client's motivation. I can never be more motivated than they are about any property. So I really try to kind of read the room, and I know there were actually at least two of the homes where I was like, please don't get this house. Please don't get this house. Because I didn't like them.
Yeah.
And I don't have to live. I'm not living there. So it's really not about me. And you all have to, the buyer has to really like the house. But the one in particular, the one by the river in St. Paul, that had the tiniest living room ever. Like, you walk in and there's the fireplace right in front of you, just right there. Yeah. But then the rest of the house was kind of great.
Yeah.
But that living room, and the bedrooms were small, and it got like 5 million offers.
And you said, so it was one of these bidding war situations, and Grant and I needed to come up with how much money we were willing to bid on this house. And you said you should just do what you're truly comfortable with. Like, don't stretch, don't try to get the house.
Right.
Which was so helpful and wise, I mean, hopefully we would have done that anyways, but we had these other experiences. And when you've been looking at homes for months, right, there's a desperation that starts to set in.
Right.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, by the time we show a house, that many houses to somebody, you just get to really know and be invested with your clients, and you want to get it so much too. And then when you get in those situations, some people are okay with that kind of stress, and others, it's just, you can tell right away, it's like, I can't do part of this, and let's move on to the next one. And
well, and I think we should tell our listeners too, like, and we're still seeing multiple offers even now, depending on the area and the price point and the condition of the home. And it's about the price and what you're offering, but there are all sorts of other ways to make your offer strong.
Right. Which is one of the things about REC and the way we do things, is with the transparent and the retainers, it allows us to give an advantage in the offer situation, because the standard percentage that so many just roll with.
Let's say it. I'm okay with saying it.
All right,
Let's
go
say
for
it. I want you to say it.
The 2.7%.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. And
she
that's,
hates percentages.
I
so.
do hate percentages, and that is one percentage that I'm surprised since the settlement, which we talked about in the last episode. I was thinking that would start changing a little bit, that 2.7%. But when we have a listing and we get multiple offers, 99.9% of the time, the agent is asking for that 2.7%. Mm-hmm. And so, is there price fixing? Mm-hmm. I'm just going to ask the question. I'm not going to answer it. I'm just going to ask the question, is there price fixing? Okay, moving on.
There was price fixing. I will answer it as a consumer. There was a price fixing in our experience of selling our home in Atlanta within that, within the 2.7%.
Yeah, and there was definitely in Texas as well. But since the change, I can say for the transactions that we've had after that in Texas, mm-hmm. The agents are being very open, at least in that area, to say this is a negotiation side. And so none of them that we've had have been at that normal amount. And so coming here, it felt weird that there is that same negotiation isn't happening as much until I met Paige and Rec and was like, let's just change everything.
Well, and we met with the seller recently who said, because of course every consumer mm-hmm. knows about 10,000 realtors, and because there's so many of us running around in the world. And he said he had talked to 3 or 4 of them, one of which was his sister-in-law, and they all gave him the same percentage to sell his house, which is a very expensive house. Mm-hmm. And they would follow it up by, because we know our value. And they're conflating value with service, level of service or something. I don't know, but I found that really kind of shocking. So he just kept looking until he found us. And again, we're going to save him a good amount of money, and we're going to feel good about the amount of compensation that we get. We're going to feel like it's mm-hmm. commensurate with the work that we do. So we're going to head into break here, I think, in a couple minutes, but we are the Real Estate Collaborative, Reckoning with Real Estate, and you can find us at therecolab.com, THERE collab.com, therecolab.com, if you want to learn more about what we do and how we do it, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Oh, what a sight, wrecking balls in flight,
Welcome back to Reckoning with Real Estate. I am Paige Kale. I'm still here with Mark Byers with the Real Estate Collaborative, and Ginger Eager, one of our past clients.
Hi.
Hello. And we decided during the break that we're going to talk about crying. So
I like crying.
Yeah. I did ask Ginger's permission if that was okay if we talked about crying, and she was super supportive of it. So, and to our listeners, I don't think you need tissues for this. I don't think you're going to cry.
No.
But you do, as a realtor, you just really get to know your clients, especially if you're working with them for a long time. And as you should, because, they're making a huge purchase and you're kind of helping them navigate their way through it. And at some point in the process with Ginger and Grant, actually, I might start crying. No, I'm not going to. I've become a crier. It's so weird. But you were in a really kind of shitty Airbnb, for lack of a better word. I never saw it.
Yeah.
But you, I think, described it as relatively, like they didn't have kitchen utensils.
No, I mean the pots. There was there was a little crock pot that's the type you make dip in. There was one of those, and then there was like a frying pan, and then there were an assortment of lids that didn't fit the frying pan. There was no bath mat, stuff like there were no dressers. It was rough. We had to find a place where we could live with our elderly cats. They accepted our elderly cats.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So you're options were kind of limited.
Yes.
And I think you said your son came that Christmas and he thought it was like a great holiday.
He said it was his best Christmas ever. Had nothing to do with the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it here.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. But then fast forward to like January, maybe beginning of February, and we're on the hunt again. And Ginger is feeling like we're never going to find a place. And we go and we look at this house in St. Paul. And all I remember, and Grant, of course, knew all of this too, that you were having a hard time. And this house it had issues. It just had lots of issues. I can't even remember exactly what they were, but Grant was just like, okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, this room, this could be my office, or like in the Four Seasons porch being like, yeah, I mean, the light's really good. I mean, every room he was convincing Ginger that maybe this is our house. And I'm just going, what the hell is going on? This is clearly not their house. And wow, we're spending a lot of time here. And then we get ready to leave and Ginger just starts crying.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. Do you want to?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was your experience, but that was my experience of walking through the house with you and Grant.
Well, I appreciate that sort of outsider's view on my marriage because one of the qualities that Grant and I possess, I mean, we have been together since our early 20s, right? Whenever one of us is feeling very, very down about things, the other person can become, increasingly positive. And sometimes that works really well. Like we buoy one another through difficult situations, but sometimes it sort of moves into this toxic positivity and we could have ended up buying a house that was not our house. So that was one of those moments. And I burst into tears and you were so kind. You cried with me.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And you said, you don't have to buy this house. There'll be another house. Yeah. And then the next morning there was a house. I think we had all seen it like come on.
I think so
and
too.
We were all texting one another. And we had so little time. Grant had a meeting. I had a meeting. You had a meeting. We had 10 minutes in this house. But we showed up before it went on market and we walked through and there were, I don't know, 2 or 3 other groups of people going through. It's the house that we bought. It was the perfect house. We walked in and the house was filled with rainbows coming through the cut glass windows. It's filled with rainbows. So we see this beautiful house and you brought me this present. You said you wrote it was a journal that had been made from an old book titled The Rainbow's End.
Yeah.
And you wrote on the inside, we will find your house. Lo and behold, it was that house. That's the one that we bought. We now call the house Rainbow's End as a result of that. The book that you gave us is our guest book that people sign when they stay.
I didn't realize that. Okay, nice.
Yeah. And the process of buying it was so great. We put, so we ended up putting a bid on it before it went on market. And it
was on the market, but it was day one.
Okay.
And there was no highest and best or anything. And I think I was just like, we got to go balls out. This is your house. You knew it was your house.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, and so we did the best, that we could do. We made the best offer that we could make. And I guess I didn't write a letter officially, but there was an email that I had sent to somebody. So the couple that we bought the house from, Kelsey and Ference, they thanked us later for the letter that we had written.
Yeah. You had written a very lovely letter because you're a writer and you write lovely things. And it was a very heartfelt letter. And I think we all just kind of busted our butts to get the offer in as soon as possible and to make it hard to refuse.
And I just want to give a shout out. I mean, it was all sincere because this young couple who had bought this house had done the most amazing work renovating these rooms. And it was like sweat equity. They had done most of that themselves. They're both designers. They had this beautiful vision. I know Ference had like carved out this little shower and this upstairs closet, and lots of times, you know, being like a child of the working class and a daughter of people who did stuff with their hands, I walk into a space like that and I hear that these people did it, and I'm just like, holy shit, like these are talented folks, right?
And we should mention too, they had 2 small children.
Yes,
Like
2
2
little
like
boys.
toddlers or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
remember.
always like, how do you do this?
And they both had jobs. They're an amazing couple. Yeah, shout
Yes.
out to Kelsey and Ference.
Yeah.
We're trying to take care of the home as well as you guys took care of it.
Yeah, for
So.
sure. And I think you and Grant are, and you still, I mean, you met them on the final walkthrough, I think.
Yeah, we did the walkthrough with them, which was so
Yes.
meaningful because they were able to show us all the things they'd done, and we
Mhm.
talked about, you know, like what it was that they would have done next had they kept the home, and some of those things are what we're hoping to do. So that was great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it is interesting that often the people who buy a home have similar energy to the people that are selling the
Right.
home. There's like this
Mhm.
personality match. I don't know if that's what you call it or not, but
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope so. I mean, they have a
Yeah.
great vibe.
yeah. Yeah. It was a very like kismet experience, which often it is with buyers.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes it's not, but often, I mean, Megan, who also is with the Real Estate Collaborative, you all know her.
Yeah,
Megan,
she's great.
But we talk all the time about writing a book with short little stories about real estate experiences, because boy, there are some really interesting ones. Yeah, and yours was one of them.
Well, you know, one of the things, the first house that we bought in Atlanta that both of our sets of folks helped us with in different ways. When it came time to sell that house, our neighborhood was undergoing this big boom because the Atlanta public schools had a scandal. They'd had a scandal because fraud is normal. Fraud happens in government situations. So they'd had a scandal. And so all of these people in Atlanta proper who, were quite wealthy were moving into Decatur where we lived because we had excellent schools. And so the housing prices were going up and up and up, and houses were getting torn down, and these big, much larger houses were being built. And Grant and I had one of the original little 1940s cottages, like a little post-war cottage.
Yeah, can we build more of those, please? That's my shout out right now. Carry on.
They're precious, right?
Yeah.
And we'd done lots of work on the inside, had the same footprint, all of these things. And so we wanted to sell it to someone that wanted the school system, but wasn't going to come in and tear it down. And,
oh, sure.
We wanted to keep it in a reasonable price range. And so I told a neighbor this, and she told someone else this. And within 24 hours, the woman was knocking on our door. I wish that I had then had the service that you guys offer, where you could have just helped me with the contract around all that, because we ended up doing a for sale by owner. I mean, and it all went just fine, but it would have been nice to have some help.
Yeah. And so Mark, had mentioned that on the last episode that Rec has lots of options for folks. It's not just one size fits all. And if you're in a unique situation, like I did one recently where the buyer and the seller knew each other.
Yeah.
And the buyer was buying this elderly woman's home because the elderly woman was going into, I am not supposed to say an old folks community. What's the right word? Like a place where old people, it's not assisted living, but
I don't know, a care facility?
No, it wasn't a care facility. It was like
a step-up facility? A
like home? A retirement home, sort of, yeah.
May we all live long enough to be in one, whatever they're called at that point. And those need to be affordable, and they need to,
Yes. And so they had already found each other. They just needed help with the paperwork. We just said, I asked them a whole bunch of questions. Do you need this? Do you need that? Do you need this? Do you need that? No, yes, no, yes. And then I came up with a price, and it closed within like 4 weeks. And there was a little bit of a meltdown at one point where the elderly woman called me and needed some support, and I was happy to give it to her. And she's like, and I'm going to pay you for your hourly rate. And I mean, so point being, there's
Yeah.
lots of different ways to do
we
real
like to
estate.
be creative,
Yes, and and I think
collaborative.
collaborative. We like to
Just-
be, but
Don't.
and I think we do. I mean, since we've started, we do tend to attract creative agents.
Mhm, yeah.
Agents that have, like Mark, you're a musician. And I saw recently, I mean, you haven't told me this, Ginger. Do you know this? He has a book.
He has more than one book.
Oh,
Yeah, I have been reading his book. Well, we should do a little plug here for Mark's book.
please do. We have about 30 seconds left. So do you want to do a quick plug on your book?
Well, it's the Faraday Light series, and it's very dystopian cyberpunk, if you like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you
You'll
can
love
find it on
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yep.
Okay, the Faraday
Light.
series
Yes.
by Mark Byers. Okay, with that, we are being ended, and with the music. And so thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
thanks for
guys.
taking the time. And we'll have you back because I feel like you have things to say, Ginger.
So good.